Welcome to the Vikings Now. I am your host, Patrick Siepman, doing a little at-home video for you guys today because there have been 4 names connected to the Minnesota Vikings through NFL trade rumors. I think a couple of them are more likely than others, and one of them I really enjoy. I'll be giving you guys the 4 names that the Vikings, that people think that new GM Kwesi Adofof-Mensah could be looking to trade for before the NFL trade deadline. But hey, if you guys aren't subbed already, go down and hit the subscribe button. You know, you guys have actually been helping me out a ton. This channel has been growing. We're almost at 5,800 subs. You see it down there. It probably says 5.79. Go hit that subscribe button. Make it say 5,800. I think we're only 2 or 3 away. So I know there's 2 or 3 of you guys out there aren't subscribed. Go hit the subscribe button for more daily Vikings news and Vikings rumors videos. But now, let's hop into the 4 names that I think the Vikings could be looking to trade for. And there have been a ton of rumors. Bleacher Report put out an article. PFF put out an article for one of them. We're going to start in the division. Probably the biggest name on this list, Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn. PFF connected him to the Minnesota Vikings. And at first, I was kind of taken back. I was like, no way the Vikings are going to trade for another huge edge rusher like Robert Quinn. The contract wouldn't work out. I just don't think that's I don't think that's really likely. But then I started to take myself back. And I looked at the past 2 Super Bowl champions, the Rams and then the Buccaneers. They both dominated up front in the front 7. The Rams last year, they had a great front 7 going into the trade deadline. Who did they call up and who did they bring in? Von Miller. And then the Buccaneers, with that front 7 they had when they beat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs and broke the pressure record in the NFL playoffs in that game. They called in Ndamukong Suh, Shaq Barrett, Devin White, all the edges they had, JPP that year. I think edges in the NFL can never have too many of them. So I think if the Vikings are starting 4-1, 5-1, and they want another name to add to this great edge group that we already have, we already saw Kwesi Adofof-Mensah doesn't show any hesitation to trade within the division. Already traded with the Packers and Lions. Why not trade with the Bears? Bring in Robert Quinn. This is the name I like second most on this list. I think Robert Quinn, he's been slightly connected to the Vikings, but if we could bring him in, have more rotation, have more depth to this D-line. Hey, Danielle Hunter, Zadarius Smith, they've had injury struggles in the past, injury issues. Why not bring in Robert Quinn to add more depth and talent to a great Vikings edge group already? Getting to the quarterback, probably one of the number one things in modern day 2022 NFL football is making the other team's quarterback uncomfortable. So Robert Quinn, first name on this list. Do I think it's likely? No. Would I be thrilled if the Vikings went out and traded for him? Yes. Now the second name on this list, another name on the Chicago Bears. I'll go with Riley Reiff first. I will reveal that name to you guys. Riley Reiff was connected. I think it was Bleacher Report that put this out there that connected Riley Reiff to the Minnesota Vikings. And again, at first, I was like, we got 2 great tackles. But the article went on and pretty much it was specifically Riley Reiff moving the guard and helping out the Vikings there. This is one that I really don't think slightly. I don't think Reiff is going to want to return. He's got a $10 million cap hit this year. And, hey, maybe the Bears could be like, our season's going one direction. Vikings season is going another direction. Move off this contract right now and try to get something for him. And from the Vikings side of it, I think this would only be a depth piece and maybe injury insurance to a guy like Ezra Cleveland or Ed Ingram. I think they're fully bought into Ed Ingram and having him getting those developmental reps at right guard. So Reiff, his only spot that I could see him playing on the Vikings offensive line is left guard. I'm not really putting too much stock into this trade rumor, but I do think if the Vikings were to trade for a Chicago Bear, it would be Robert Quinn over Riley Reiff. Who knows? Maybe the Vikings, maybe Ezra gets injured, knock on wood. Maybe somebody else gets injured that as a second string offensive lineman. We just want to add in more depth because, hey, it's week 4 of the NFL season. Vikings are a fairly healthy team. Injuries are going to happen. Reiff could be a huge depth piece. Now, my favorite name on this list, Marcus Peters from the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Vikings, you got to look at one position group where I think he's probably the weakest on the team. I think it would probably be the cornerback position. And I think Marcus Peters, obviously he's not where he was in his prime. I think he's taken a step back the past couple years. But if you would bring Marcus Peters on this team, he would already be the first, second, or third by easily first, second, third best corner on this Vikings roster. I think Marcus Peters is somebody that we should keep our eyes out on. If the Ravens, if there's maybe some locker room issues going on over there and they start losing games, and, you know, it's funny in the NFL, like all these guys, you know, NFL is not a huge trade league, just do the contracts and everything matching up. But I think now with how these cap space experts have been able to manipulate the cap, I think these trades are more likely. So Marcus Peters, I think the Vikings can make him work out cap-wise within what they have left. And I think, honestly, if there's one position group that could use an upgrade on this roster, like I said, it's the corners. Marcus Peters, man. So I want to ask you guys, would you trade, I'll make this the pinned comment, would you trade assets, maybe a third, fourth round pick, even if it's just for a year, to get Marcus Peters for this season? I'm really curious what you guys have to say, because when I think about trades for the Vikings right now, I really don't think there's anybody out there that I'm like, they need to trade for that guy. But there's a lot of, if the Vikings, if you're looking at this as like a piece of cake, the Vikings have all the cake in there. They just maybe need to get some more icing on there to make it maybe a little more sprinkles. And maybe Marcus Peters is the sprinkles or strawberries, whatever you want to put on top of your cake. I think Marcus Peters could be a huge addition to this Vikings roster. Now my last name that I've seen connected to the Minnesota Vikings, Sidney Jones. Sidney Jones is the Seattle Seahawks corner. He only really played in week 1. He's not the most talented guy on this list. This would be mainly a depth piece, and I also don't think this one is that likely. This was thrown out by Bleacher Report as well. He joined the Seahawks this offseason. He was originally with the Jaguars and Philadelphia Eagles for a couple years. He wears number 23. He's 26 years old. He's a 6-foot corner. And, hey, would he match up well in this Mike Penton, Ed Donatell system? Yes. He's a great coverage guy. I just don't think this one really makes too much sense on just what the Vikings would have to give up and kind of what the Vikings need. I don't think they would make a risky move. I don't think they would go bring in a guy like this who doesn't really have the upside as the other guys I mentioned on this list, like Marcus Peters and Robert Quinn. But out of the 4 I mentioned, Robert Quinn, Marcus Peters, Sidney Jones, and Riley Reiff, my 2 favorite obviously would be Robert Quinn and Marcus Peters. I think those are 2 big-time names that the Vikings could be bringing in. Obviously you would have to consolidate a couple of assets to bring in a guy like this, but I think, hey, if you're trying to go all in on this year, go all in on winning a Super Bowl with Jefferson still on his rookie contract, why not go all in on get another edge rusher for this Vikings defense that has struggled? Why not go get Kirk, another offensive lineman? Why not go get Ed Donatell, another guy in the back end who can be great in coverage, like Marcus Peters, a smart veteran corner? Let me know any of these 4 names entice you guys down below. Hit that like button, and then, hey, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 6,000 subs, man. If we could do that, make my damn day. Hit that subscribe button, like the video, comment down below what you think about these trade rumors, and I'll see you guys next time. Skor Vikes.